It's good to see everybody. Excited for this week. I feel like this past week has put us in position to take a big step forward, and our hope is for that, and we're working towards that. I felt that Saturday was another opportunity for learning and growing. I thought that offensively, to see a lot of the things that gave us trouble, a couple of weeks ago, and to be able to adjust to that and knock it out and run the ball well was really good to see. I thought that defensively, the ability to, get lined up and fit for the most part, a quarterback-heavy run. It was basically wildcat throughout most of the morning. To fit all of those things and be in the position you need to be was a good sign for us. A lot of these things are all going to have to be taken into this next week and improved and done, and do better because it's going to be required for our next opponent. And so much respect for Texas and what they do and their coaching staff, and they've had some. Those guys have been there now for a little bit, and so there's been a lot of tape on them, and you can see the evolution and the growth with them, and you can see the confidence in their players, and so it'll be a challenge for us. I know that we're up for it and we're excited for it. Take any questions you guys have.
Dave, I know you guys are, as coaches, are always really focused on like the XYZ of how to beat an opponent. In terms of just the rivalry against Texas, I mean, this is like 113 times that Baylor and Texas has played. Obviously, it'll be the last for a while. Will you talk to the guys about just the rivalry and trying to protect your home turf against those guys? And how cool is it for you as a coach to just be a part of it?
No, I appreciate that. We are going to talk about that. I think as an aside to that, but probably not an aside, is I can't tell you how many times this off season it's been, hey Dave, just win one game, please. And so that has been brought up to me multiple times. And so, I sense it and I know it, and I'm blessed, and we're blessed to be able to do something about it. And so. But we're definitely going to talk about the history and just some of the bigger games in the past because I think that's way important with something like this.
Dave, last week, running the football, controlling the clock, and that aspect of the game, is that in preparation for the game plan against Texas this week? Is that what you have to do to win?
No, I appreciate that. I feel for us to win, I think there has to be the line of scrimmage on both sides. Being really kind of separate from the skill on both sides. And so, whether that's front seven or that's tight ends and O-line and running backs, doing their thing, and so that it causes the defense to have to adjust and bring, if offensively we're doing that, defense is bringing people in. If defensively we're doing that, then we can bring people out. So I think it's very important that line of scrimmage and physicality and violence and all that occurs, so that we can take our math and put it in other places. And so I think there's been some growth in that, and well needed. From the first week to this, I think there needs to be some more. I think along with that then becomes the ability to not be in one coverage all the time, because you have to be able to change up things. I'm talking about on first down particularly. And I think that gives you a lot more, and we were able to do that in this game. It's going to be quite, to do the same thing, and this next one's going to be, a bigger step and a heavier lift, and, it's all part of it. But I think that for us to get good, the front's got to take care of the front, so the secondary we can use those people as needed. So I think it was a good step in the right direction.
Watching film, do you see in the trenches that your team can win the game there? Is this a Texas team that you can find susceptible in that area?
Appreciate that. I feel they're big up front. They're physical. I think there's a fair amount. They're built for kind of what we're talking about because their insides and outsides are very separate. And so inside they'll have a run, they'll have a buck sweep, and this goes back to playing Alabama. Whereas if you're in a tight front, they'll pull the two guards to like if there's a nub, a tight end nub, and they'll have three receivers this way. They'll pull to the nub side, and over here they'll run some type of screen, some type of RPO. And so you have to be – it can't get any clearer than that. You're divided. Run people in here, skill people out there. And so I think they're built that way in a similar fashion. And so I think, for us to get to where we need to, right, you'd like to be able to say, hey, here's these people in the box, here's these people out of it, and then we can count on doing our jobs kind of in a separate manner. And so we'll see. I think that's the goal. And we've done it before here, and so we're aiming to do it again.
Dave, this is probably the most high-profile matchup against Texas in recent memory. How do you kind of go about preparing starting game week, for such a big game?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it would be for us, putting this last game to bed and the things that we did well and the things that we need to improve on. And then it would be, hey, these are the steps that we've taken to get better, right? Here's the where we're headed. Here's what we could be. I think always coming back to that vision is way important because I think that's the goal and that's where we want to get to. A team that plays with energy, a team that plays with a confidence and an edge, and a team that executes. I think the execution part was the best it's been this past Saturday. Now, to have this heavier lift, so to speak, and to play well versus Texas, we're going to need better execution. And so I think that's where we would start, and how that relates to today and how that relates to this week, and this is what we got to get done, and this is how we have to approach it, and all of it. I think for some of our younger players, the spotlights and the bright lights and all of it, want to take their eyes off of that and put it on what's right in front of them.
Dave, what makes Texas better this year than they've been maybe the last couple of years?
Appreciate that. I think the offensive line has matured to where they can, they can get a pressure, they can get a stunt, and they can pick it up and climb up to the linebacker and seal them. I think in the past, pressure, stunts, they'd be muddled in here and you'd have a free runner. And so I think they've matured to where stuff comes at them and they can kind of take it in stride. And then I think, their skill has gotten better. And so, last year they had one wide receiver and he's back and he's a really good player and everything. And where was he? And now they've got another guy on the other side. And so, to be able to defend two guys that can do something after the catch, and to reduce space on them to a degree to where they're not given access, but then not leave yourself vulnerable to one-on-one shot plays. All of that is a trick. Is a trick to play.
Dave, against a powerful team like Texas, we talked about it last Saturday about how y'all came out second half dominant. But do you think against a number 3 team like the Longhorns that it's key to starting off that game really strong right off the bat?
Yes, appreciate that. Yeah, I thought defensively we did in this last game, and I think if it wasn't, I thought in the running game, we were offensively now speaking. I thought defensively we played fast from the start to finish, and I thought energy and everything was there. I thought offensively where we probably lacked the juice in the beginning of the game was the throwing game. I just think we were off, and that's unfortunate. And so something to be addressed and something that we need to be starting fast in this next game. I thought running the ball wise, we're kind of planning for one thing, and they, very evidently and quickly we could see that they're running Texas State's game plan. And so after that first series, that was really the cause of that first series. And then coming back, making the adjustments, I thought we were able to take off after that. And so the improvement from, it took a half to it took a series was what was on display on Saturday.
With that, with that throwing game, how is Blake progressing in his rehab? And then with Sawyer, is some of the, just maybe the little misses on connections, down the field or whatever, maybe due to he was getting more reps with the twos and that kind of thing?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, so Blake is still probably a week out, and so not anticipating or expecting Blake in this game. I think for Sawyer, Sawyer is one of the most competitive people I know. So we have a ping pong table there in our players' lounge, and the specialists, our snappers and our holders, are kind of bullies of the ping pong table, and so they whoop up on anyone that comes. But Sawyer whoops up on them and calls them out, and after then there's the pop a shot, and he wants to compete the boy competes with anybody versus anything. And so I think, though, particularly Saturday, I think he was trying to be too perfect. I think he was trying to not lose the game. And I think the challenge with so much of this is to keep the outside on the outside and just to focus on what's on the inside. And I feel like I failed him in that respect. And so I think to kind of clear the air with it and get focused on what's right in front of him, I think gives him a great chance to just be competitive and go after it and all that. So we're excited for him this week, and I know that he is ready for another bite at the apple.
Coach, in terms of scheduling, this is your final home game before you head on the road. Can you talk about how important it is to look strong before you head out of McLean Stadium?
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's important to get a win, and so we're aiming to do that, and that's the, behind everything we're doing, it's for that. And, I think for the fans and the crowd, I think I've said it before prior to the season that it's important that we win, and it's important that there's excitement, and it's important that there's something to cheer for. And so this gives us an opportunity before we leave to do that, and we have not lost sight of that.
Byron Vaughns, he had a couple sacks. You and others have spoken very highly of him. What does his energy experience, he started his college career at Texas, what does he bring to the group and the team overall?
Appreciate that. He brings a mentality of I'll show you, let me prove to you, chip on your shoulder, edge, fighter. He brings that and a whole lot of that. And so I think it's been great for us. It's been great for that outside backer room. It's been great for the defense. And I think his growth off the field been way cool. And I just think all of it. I think he's trending in all the right directions. I'm way proud of him.
Dave, in the fall, we heard a lot about the wide receiver room and just kind of the growth that they took from last year to this year. What have you kind of seen from them, and how do you evaluate that room for the first 3 games?
No, appreciate that. Yeah, I think all of that. There has been a lot of growth, and it has been tight. And I think we have to do a better job collectively, and I'm putting myself first with this, of making sure that we're getting the ball out to them. You look at that first game and what it looked like. That's about what it was in our practices or scrimmages. And we have to do a better job of making sure that we're getting the ball out to our playmakers. I think Keytron can do a whole lot with it. Monterey can do a whole lot with it. Hal, all of them, And so I think that's probably an area, if I had to pick one, where we're off the mark, it's that one right now. And so for us to be able to play faster, be more explosive, and to score more points, I think we've got to be able to get the ball in our playmakers' hands.
Dave, Isaiah lost his job last year. What got him back on track and doing what he's doing now?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Isaiah's always been like this, and I know whenever you're like that on the outside, you're not that way on the inside, And so, but he's always been like that, and I think, you can easily be, overlooked or forgotten or kind of blended in when you are like that, But I think for him in those spaces, when John was doing the kicking, is that his head was down, he was working, He was the first to congratulate John. I mean, just all the things he would make. In seeing him in those instances, it makes me, want to be better, want to try better, and be less so self-absorbed, And so I think when he had his opportunity again, I mean, there's just so much growth there that, and here's new people coming in to kind of take a job that was his that he lost, and he's fighting to get it back, and he fought those guys off, and so it's really cool to see. And, his relationship with Tyler Hancock and the people that work with our specialists is really strong, and I think Tyler's been a big factor in just the confidence getting up and up, and the mechanics of all of it, and so I think he's in for a big season. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay,
Stay
thank you guys.